Hello. It's been a while since I've done one of these videos, eh? I think it was like the start of the pandemic, so around 2020 is when I started doing these van videos. We don't have that van anymore. We have this nice blue MG. And then after I was doing those videos, I started doing Matootie Tales last year. That was fun. With Matootie Tales, I started around March or May, one of the M's, last year. And I just focused on writing stories and music. And yeah, then I started releasing few videos each month starting from July. I had planned that for the end of the year, and then this year was a bit different, where I started starting my own musical called Pain for Love, and so that's exciting. I'm almost finished. Can you believe it? I started writing that in May, and now I'm almost finished. So that's cool. I'm now stuck, so pray for me, please. I'm near the end. I'm still trying to figure out how it's gonna end and how it's gonna begin, because that's meant to be like the hardest, and it really is. Anyways, yeah. So that's been my thing. It's a nice day here. Don't know if you'll hear this wind, but it's pretty windy, but it's nice. It's warm and hot, but with the wind, it's nice. That's all. Like, thanks for the weather update. Okay. Well, anyway, so today I wanted to share, because it's been a while with my encouragement. There's just been a lot happening, and there goes the typical West vibes. Oh my gosh, just linger. Yeah, so today going along with the lines of you are more, and just an encouragement to not give up if that's where you're at. So bit of my journey is also it's like there's so many themes. So in Matootie Tales at the beginning, my first theme was it's okay to cry. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so my first theme is it's okay to cry, and so I wanted to continue that with also it's okay to ask for help. You know, sometimes we as adults, either we're just so busy with life that we don't even take time to process the events that happen in our lives, or just and transitions and stuff. We know seasons, we go through seasons all the time, but we don't take time to just reflect. And sometimes we do it on purpose because we know that it's just going to be too unbearable. We don't have time to break down or whatever. And what else was I gonna say? We don't, as adults, or sometimes we're just too proud to ask for help. We want to make it look like we're all good, everything's good, or we might convince ourselves that everything is good, or we just compare our lives to others and think what I'm going through is not as bad as other people, and so I don't want to be all dramatic. And it's like we downplay everything. It's like, oh, we're okay, you're okay, it's like that. It's like suck it up kind of thing. But you know what, like I wanted to share a little bit of my journey, and I'll try to be quick. And so I'm grateful that I had family and friends to push me to be more open, because I was very private with my own thing. Like I'm happy to hear other people's stories, but the really, really deep stuff, like I actually kept to myself. And or sometimes I wouldn't tell people what I went through until after I had gone through it, whatever that means. But and so I'm grateful that I had people to push me gently over the edge. No, to ask for help. So as a kid, I would keep things to myself, as I said. So from the very beginning, we actually had a middle sister. So there's my older sister, who some of you may know, named Charis. And then there was, we had another sister in between us. Her name was Michelle. She had passed away around 7 months old as a baby already. And then my mom had me soon after that. but because it was like kind of soon, my mom was still grieving, or she just didn't know how to process it. Yeah, and so as a kid, I actually grew up thinking I was a mistake, that I wasn't meant to be born. When you go through grief, sometimes you're not really thinking properly. You kind of say things that you don't realize what you're saying. And so that was my mom. She was grieving, and she didn't even know she said this until I told her many years later. But she would say something like, "Oh, I wonder if Michelle hadn't passed, if you would be born." And she does not remember that, so she feels really bad for that. And then, so I took that as, oh, okay, and then I wasn't meant to be born. Then maybe I was a mistake. So I actually believed that I was a mistake. And then because my parents being first generation, coming here, not knowing anyone, not having any relatives or anything, they had to work super hard, and I'm sure that's a lot of a similar situation with so many like us. And so my mom would be working double, I think maybe triple at one point, I don't know. But it seemed like she was just always working because she was a nurse, and so even in like Christmas and all those public holidays, she was still working. And my dad, a lot of the time he would be working the night shift or graveyard shift, whatever, and so when he was home, he was just tired, so he would just be sleeping. And then when my sister grew up, old enough to go out, she was just always out, so it was just me. So sometimes I'd play with my neighbors or my friends, and a lot of time I'd just be by myself to my imagination. But because of that, it was like a good thing and a bad thing. I believe that helped me start my creative side. Because of that, I was always thinking creatively without knowing I was. And so I was always imagining stories and blah, blah, blah. On the bad side is that, you can, when you're alone with your thoughts, you can tend to think bad things. And so I would fantasize about not being alive anymore, and I'm not going to be specific because I don't want this to trigger anyone, but yeah, I would fantasize in how I would die or whatever, or just the thought of not being around, and I thought that no one would care. And so I thought I was a mistake. I didn't really get along with my dad because we both had strong personalities, so we would clash a lot, and then sometimes I would just, out of frustration, I'm trying to explain something and he doesn't understand. He just hears the tone and thinks I'm back chatting, and so he would always say no back chatting, and he would yell at me for answering back, but really I'm just trying to explain myself. And then I was just full of emotions and feelings, not knowing how to process them, and then they would see this anger and this frustration as a negative thing, so they would always tell me to stop. It's like they never told me to stop crying, so that's the one thing. So that's a bit funny because they're criers, my parents, so that's nice. I don't know why. So I forced myself not to let myself cry even though I wanted to. So it's weird. So I had suppressed all these feelings and emotions because it was seen to be as a bad thing, or I thought so anyway. And so it's like being angry, it's like they would say stop, whatever. And so I would either suppress them or be really good at hiding them. So because of that, it's like I also was in depression for a lot. Like I think the youngest, I might have been 7 from the earliest I could remember when I had my first depression episode. And so no one knew that I would suffer from depression in my childhood until I was like late teens. And and so if it wasn't for friends having the right kind of friends who would try to be there, if they didn't push me, then I have no idea where I would be. So My encouragement, if there's anything, is to, if you have friends who can be there for you, I encourage you to reach out. Hopefully you have the right kind of friends who can be there, and if not, you know what, I really highly suggest getting a counselor. It's been a great help for me. And yeah, like, you are not a mistake, just like what I had to learn. I was created with heavy feelings and emotions just like everyone else. I thought there was something wrong with me. I would have to sort of dial it down because everyone was always telling me to shush, be quiet, stop it, like it's too much, you're too crazy, calm down, things like that all the time. So I had to suppress part of who I was. I'm only learning now that it's how I was created. I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm pretty unique, but but I do know I'm not the only one, and that there are other people who feel like they can't be themselves and have to change who they are. And I'm just encouraging you to not give up. And you're not a mistake. To also be that friend for your friends, because you never know what they're going through. No one ever knew what I was going through unless I made it obvious. And even then, a lot of the time, in the more recent years, the last depression episode, no one really checked up on me. So, they just assume, oh, she's alright, she's Leia, whatever. She's always happy. So you never know who is hurting and who also feels this way. So even if you've never felt this way, you never know, one of your closest friends could have felt this way or is feeling this way, and just being there for them could make the biggest difference. And so that's my encouragement, is that it's okay to ask for help. You are not a mistake. You are more. It's like anything else. Okay, that's it. All right, bye.
Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. Thanks for watching.